Hey everyone, this is Yulong. For those who don't know, I've ruptured my Achilles tendon in January this year, and I've been making a bunch of videos to track my progress. If you're interested in previous videos, please check out my channel. In this video, I want to give you the full update of month 5 since my surgery. So the full update is going to contain a couple sections. First, I want to talk about the goal that I set for my month 5, my goal for the next month, random updates, and then the routine updates, and then the exercises. So let's get on to that. First, let's talk about my goal. In the last full update, I set my goal for this month to be able to raise my heel a little bit above the ground in the single leg calf raise fashion. Did I achieve that? Yes. I'm happy to say that I was able to lift my heel now. As you can see in this video. Of course, this video was recorded yesterday, which is 5 months and 1 week. To me, I'm very happy that I can lift this high. I didn't expect that I could do this. Achieving this goal really gives me some confidence and gives me a very good understanding of how much I can do right now. So there you go. That's my goal for the month 5. In terms of next month, month 6, my goal is to do at least once of full single leg calf raise. I feel like this is aggressive, but I hope I can achieve that. I still have 3.5 weeks to go now that I'm back home. I will get back to you in the next full update on this. Next, on to random updates. There's a couple of random updates. The first is my traveling. As I mentioned in the last video, I went on for vacation for most part of the June. It also involves me flying on an international flight for 11 hours back and forth. And my departing flight was actually a red eye as well. I already made a video to give you a quick update on the flight, so I won't go into details. If you're interested, definitely take a look at my last video. But the takeaway is it's mostly fine on the plane with some discomfort around the heel area and also have some trouble sleeping during the red-eye flight. The return flight was much better because it's a daylight flight. It's much more challenging, however, before the flight, you know, with all the check-ins, security checks, and everything else, those require a lot of standing and waiting. Standing tires out my injured leg super quick. I feel the soreness and even pain after, I'd say, maybe just 20 minutes of standing. This is definitely something you want to be prepared for if you're gonna travel with the injured leg. As for the trip, it's also mostly fine, since at this stage, I can do basically every daily activity without any issues. There are 2 major challenges. First is just the amount of walking that I do during the trip is a lot more than, my day-to-day. To give you a perspective, before the trip, I walk about 5,000 steps a day. During the trip, it jumps to 10,000 steps. I'm going to show you later on for the walking data, but that's definitely a big jump, and I feel like that's pushing my limit for sure. After a day of walking, my leg and foot are very sore. There's also a moderate pain in the entire foot, although it only hurts if I keep using it. So if I lay down or even if I sit, like 95% of the pain goes away immediately. Of course, I still feel the soreness though. The pain, in terms of scale of 1 to 10, I'd say the pain is around 5. It's not something that I can just ignore. I think that indicates either I am very close to my limit or slightly over my limit. The pain and soreness goes away though after a night of sleep. That gives me a signal that maybe, this is largely okay. The second challenging is on vacation, there's just a lot of standing. that just tires out my foot even quicker than walking. If I do something like visiting a museum, like that's usually standing straight for 1 or 2 hours with just maybe a few minutes of sitting here and there. After that 1 or 2 hours, my foot will feel basically the same as at the end of the day if I just walk and rest. Because throughout the day, if I'm just walking throughout the day, I definitely gonna rest for a certain amount of time, like either grab a cup of coffee or have lunch, grab food. That's actually easier than standing straight for 1 and 2 hours. That are the two biggest challenges that I find throughout the vacation. Of course, it's also difficult to keep up with the rehab exercises. There are definitely some days that I reduced the load of my daily exercise, either due to my foot is really tired, I don't want to put any more load on my foot anymore, or I just didn't get a chance to do that because the schedule is too full. Also, I guess missing the actual rehab with physical therapists definitely give me a little bit setback, although I don't know how much, because physical therapists, they do massage on my tendon, which I think helps a lot to not only like break down the scar tissue, but also just in general relieve the stress, right? I try to massage myself on the vacation as well, but I could safely assume that it's not as good as what the professionals could provide. Other than these, I think overall the trip is good. There are some compromises, but it's definitely good for me to also get out, see new things instead of like just being at home. Because after this injury, right, like I pretty much stayed at home for at least 2 months before I can actually go out for a certain amount of time. So the trip is definitely good for my health in general. That's my trip update. One more update about the trip is I bought a pair of Hoka running shoes. I already have a pair of recovery slides from them. The design of the both are meant to reduce the effort you spend on walking, basically. You can activate less muscle to walk. Is my understanding. That's what the benefit is. Because I expect to walk a lot more during the trip, that's why I bought a pair of running shoes. Just one thing is to test it out, but also just in case if my leg just cannot take that many walking. And it turns out the running shoes are pretty good. It feels very similar as to the recovery slides. Like I said, it minimizes the effort you need to walk. Even I am really tired, I feel like I don't need to put a lot of pressure on my leg in order to walk. It's fairly easy for me to walk so many steps. I'm not sure if I was able to do the same with a pair of regular shoes. One visible difference is with the Hoka shoes, I don't feel the pain during the first couple steps after I sit for a while. That's an issue for me since very early stage that I notice not only if I sit for a while, but also in the morning when I walk for the first time. All these times I can feel a sharp pain in my tendon for the first couple of steps. But with Hoka shoes, the pain is a lot less, like 90% of that it's gone. So that's definitely good. I'll keep this pair of shoes, but I'll probably just use for only occasions like traveling or hiking, things like that, right? Because I do want to activate my leg as it tend to be with full activation. I don't want to get used to or depend on the Hoka shoes. I feel that would just, sort of reduce the muscle on my foot somehow. That's what I feel, but it's good to have a pair around though, just for special occasions. Now the last random update is about activating my calf muscle. One thing I start thinking about is just how much of a calf muscle I really activate during those exercises like calf raise. The reason I'm saying so is because I noticed that when I am using the muscle, let's say in the band exercise, if you see here, when I push the band, I see my quad of the same leg also lights up. That means that is helping. However, if I compare it with the same exercise done on my good leg, the quad stays silent. That means the full force of pushing down the band is coming from the calf. It could be either I just cannot activate the calf muscle at this moment because my tendon is not fully recovered, or my calf is too weak, that it is fully activated, but it just cannot hold the band. So that's why my body is engaging other parts of the muscle. There is someone in my other video also left a comment saying the stretch of the tendon could help better activate the calf muscle as well. In that video, I mentioned that I didn't specifically stretch my tendon so far. I mostly just focus on calf raises. And now I start wondering if that's the reason. Intuitively, if you are doing push with the calf, I feel like the tendon is contracting, it's shortening, right? It's not lengthening. So I didn't expect it would require a stretched tendon. Right? All you need to do is shortening the tendon, not making it longer. But anyway, I might start doing some light stretch every day and see if that helps the calf activation. It could also, like I said, it could also be that my calf muscle is still just not strong enough right now. I just cannot hold the exercise enough. Anyway, this is very new to me, so I need to do some digging, some practice to see if anything helps. Maybe I'll follow up in the future videos. Next, let's talk about routine updates. There's a couple of them. The first is the walking pose. Here's the footage that I'm walking during the trip. I don't think you can tell the difference compared with last time anymore, because I think overall my pose is good. The push that I can feel every time I push my injured leg is also stronger and better. I guess that's just what the progress brings me. Maintaining the pose is still difficult though, particularly after a day of walking. I don't have any footage, but I can feel sometimes that I am leaning on my good leg a little bit more. Other thing I realized is not only during the walk, but also standing and moving, turning around, I tend to use my good leg as a supporting leg. Since then, I try to, consciously try to use my injured leg a lot more as a supporting leg. I think at this stage, it's just something we need to be aware of and try to bring this back, because during the injury and after the surgery, right, obviously we are leaning towards our good leg a lot more. So that probably develops into a habit. And now we are essentially undoing the habit. I think that's important, because I also see some people online mentioning they ruptured the good leg like a couple months or a year after their injured leg fully recovered. And that's definitely unfortunate. I don't know the cause, but leaning more on the good leg potentially could be a reason, because that just means an overuse of the good leg. So that's something that I started doing recently. Next routine update is my walking trend. That's the data from my Apple Watch. As you can see, I mentioned before, my daily steps doubles essentially. I used to have 5K, now I have close to 10K steps a day, which I don't think it's sustainable. While I feel good after a night of sleep, the end of the day, my foot is incredibly sore and painful if I keep walking. I don't think 10K is my target for a daily walking. 7K, maybe around 7K, I think that's a good target I should aim at for the next month. I do think increasing the walking steps should be a good exercise in general for me in terms of recovery. So that's what I'm gonna do. Next, let's look at my calf size and tendon size. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a visible difference between the size of my calf in this month and last month, which is kind of frustrating. I would expect that my calf grows a little bit bigger. Maybe it does, but I couldn't tell. You can see here, if I compare side by side, I couldn't tell the difference too much. The tendon looks like it's getting thinner a little bit. I'm not so sure. But again, it's not visibly different enough. It may or may not have something to do with the fact that I didn't do too many rehabs with physical therapists, because one of the major help physical therapists could bring is to do the massage, which helps break down the scar tissue, which would result in a thinner tendon. So let's see if now that I'm back to normal life, continue with my rehab, let's see if my tendon would be much thinner at the end of this month. Last routine update is the calf raise. I just want to show the calf raise I'm doing. The double leg calf raise becomes easier for me now. I start doing a lot more variations of calf raises, including single leg calf raise. But of course, right now I'm doing that with assistance. Basically, I will grab something firm like a desk or the chair, and then I will try to pull myself up, and then I will try to lose the grab slowly and put all my weight on my tendon and just slow it down. So it's sort of an eccentric move. Hopefully shifting to single leg calf raise more would help strengthening the calf better than the double leg calf raise. The last routine update is the dorsiflexion. I can stretch quite a bit further now. If you see here, it's probably not a lot compared with someone else who is actively stretching it every day. Like I say, I am not doing that. I will start some light stretch daily now in the goal of helping the calf growth and activation. Let's see if that helps. So that's all my routine updates. The last section is exercises. Before the trip, I was able to get into the pool a few times. Before that, I have only been doing the freestyle swimming. For these couple times, I tried breaststroke. I wish I have done that earlier. If you are in the pool workout, definitely try to swing all the ways you could. Because as soon as I try breaststroke, I feel the immediate soreness or activation, let's say, in my inner thighs. I think freestyle just doesn't activate the parts, right? Because it's flip-flop, up and downs. Because of this injury, all parts of your muscle on the leg are incredibly weak now. I think breaststroke helps activating the inner thigh the way that freestyle couldn't. I should try out different variations of the swimming just to exercise different parts of the muscle. For other exercises, those are pretty much the same. The calf raise, like I said, I tried more variations now. As you can see here, besides the single leg calf raise that I already mentioned, there's also this calf raise on a step-up box, which allows me to drop my heel a little bit more than the neutral position, basically going into the dorsiflexion. I am doing this very carefully so that I don't go way past the neutral position, right? Just a little bit. I think that gives both my tendon and my calf a good stretch and basically a harder contraction in the hope of getting more exercise out of it. And here is the complete list of my daily exercise throughout most of the month. I didn't include the pool workout since I only did like a few times for the month. Okay, that was all the updates for the month 5. I am moderately happy with the result because I know since I am on vacation, I'll definitely miss some of the progresses. So I'm pretty happy about achieving my goal. My next goal is pretty aggressive. So let's see how much I can achieve. I'll get back on this with you in the next full update. The next full update should be around end of June. This time, since I am at home, it should be back to normal. Yeah, that's everything. I'll see you in the next update. Thanks. The 6-minute walk also increases for anyone who are not familiar with. 6-minute walk is sort of a aggregated data calculated by Apple Watch based on a couple metrics. Basically, the higher the number is, the more feet you are. So this number is higher compared with that in the last month. I do wonder if that has something to do with me walking more, basically. But, you know, higher is always better. However, if I look at my walking steadiness, which is an estimate of my stability while walking, there is a constant decrease throughout the month of June, right? Which is while I'm traveling. And that's interesting. I do wonder if it's because I'm walking too long every day and that just hurt my steadiness. This is a metric calculated based on a couple other metrics like walking speed, step length, and double support time, and walking asymmetry. I think I'll keep an eye on this metric to see if it rises up, you know, now that I'm back to the normal life. The walking asymmetry, I don't think it moves too much. It may reduce a little bit based on the average number, but overall, I think it stays at a similar level, which is, again, speaks to the surprise of walking steadiness, because walking steadiness metric is supposed to based on walking asymmetry as well, right? So if walking asymmetry reduces, why the walking steadiness increases? That's just that's interesting. Like I said, I'll follow up on that. I think that was everything about my walking trend.